You've never had an NDA until you lied about me being on a sabbatical when you put me on leave. And I just came out and told the truth, like, yo, man, I didn't choose to go on a sabbatical. They put me out the door. And now you're mad that you're caught in a lie. As a Christian church organization, you came together and concocted a lie because I wouldn't do something that I found disagreed with my convictions.
Why was Jonathan Lamb fired from Daystar? According to Daystar, he was fired because of performance issues and refusing to participate in third-party mediation to resolve grievances. But according to Jonathan, it's because he refused to sign an NDA. Welcome to a special edition of The Roys Report, a podcast dedicated to reporting the truth and restoring the church. I'm Julie Roys. And if you've been following our ongoing coverage of the scandal at Daystar, you know that there are clearly two narratives that are being forwarded about events. Jonathan and Susie Lamb allege that Daystar president Joni Lamb and her late husband Marcus covered up the sexual abuse of their daughter by a family member. Joni Lamb and Daystar deny the claim. Jonathan and Susie also say Joni retaliated against them for refusing to read a viewer comment praising Joni's marriage to Doug Weiss, and this led to even greater conflict between them and Daystar. However, Daystar claims the couple was dissatisfied with their lack of involvement at the network, and Jonathan, in particular, was upset because Joni had succeeded his father as president of Daystar instead of Jonathan. If you haven't read our previous articles on the controversy, I encourage you to go back and judge for yourselves. But this brings us to the reason for Jonathan's dismissal from Daystar. Again, Daystar says it fired Jonathan for performance issues, but Jonathan says he was fired because he refused to sign an NDA or non-disclosure agreement. And that appears to be precisely what Daystar board member Tom Callender says in a short clip from a board meeting the Roys Report released earlier. But again, in the interest of transparency, we're releasing the full recording of that board meeting on November 16th, 2023. That way, you can judge for yourself. Here's the board meeting.
All right.
Boy, we listen so you don't have to.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Late Night Level Up with Larry and Leo. I am Larry. And this is the good brother, my main man, Brother Leo. How you doing this evening? We up late, brother. We up late.
I'm happy to be here, man. Some more things are stirring up, and we gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it because that's what everybody is talking about. And this, my friends, is a messy situation in the Lord's church. So let's get started. Go ahead.
Before you start, be a vibe.
Subscribe. Y'all been loving us. Y'all be showing us some love on this with the subs. We need to keep that up, man. We appreciate coming out here and giving the people what they want. So go ahead, hit a subscribe. It's about to be Christmas. We up late. We got my baby's asleep. That's why you ain't gonna hear him during this episode, Lord willing.
You might hear my kids because it's the weekend. They turning up.
But we just out here trying to give y'all the news, our commentary, what we think, because our advice, it's unsolicited and it's free. So take it for what it's worth. But we are going to get into the subject of NDAs. Let me start by asking you, Leo. Just pretend for a second that you work at a church. And the church said, hey, brother, we need you to sign an NDA. How do you feel about the subject of NDAs in church in general, before we get into this?
Okay. Non-disclosures are typically when things are like trade secrets. Like, hey, I've got a remedy, I've got a recipe, I've got something that I'm doing, that I'm preparing, that hasn't hit the market yet, that I want to protect so it doesn't really go out. Or I have some information that I'm going to share with you that I want to make sure you don't share with anybody else. In the world of a church, like, what trade secret do you have?
That is an excellent point. That's an excellent point.
We got the Jesus code. we got the Holy Ghost up, right, double back.
I cannot share with you my preaching secrets, okay?
Yo, like, okay, this is a secret of how to put together a sermon. This is a secret on how to, 10x your tithe. Like, I want to, like, really, like, what is the trade secret that you're protecting?
Dude, that is such a good point, because I hear whenever this comes up in the area in a church setting, that's usually the equivalency that they'll try to bring that up. Like, hey, if you're working at a normal business, NDAs, they're going to ask you to sign NDAs. Is no big deal. Why is it a big deal? Just because we as a church are asking you to do that. I've signed NDAs. I run a marketing business, and I've been a subcontractor with PR firms. And
yeah, you can't tell them that you really the one that's supplying the juice, because we're gonna take that same juice, we're gonna put it in a new package, and we're gonna raise the price.
When it comes to like client protection, you don't want to give out any information that they have when you're meeting with them, because a lot of times you're going to get information that they wouldn't want to be public. So they want to protect that. Or a non-compete. Those are normal in the business world. But again, those agreements are around making money. It's about around product protection. It's about making sure that nothing gets out about that business that will ultimately cause, something to go wrong with their product, et cetera, et cetera. But it ain't about covering up sin.
So people don't copy and run with it and make it for half the price and underbid it. Yeah, it's for that type of stuff. It's not for, hey, don't say anything that goes on.
And especially if you had, like in Jonathan's case, Jonathan had been working there for all these years. His entire life. It's his father's business. His father's business. That he's been around. Literally, I heard him in an audio that they literally started broadcasting the year he was born. The year he was born. So literally, he's been around that business his entire life. And y'all didn't have him sign an NDA when he first started. Now all of a sudden, because stuff started getting out, now you try to get me to sign an NDA for my dad's business? That's kind of...
Excuse me, it's allergy season. So here's the thing. You've never had an NDA until you lied about me being on a sabbatical when you put me on leave. And I just came out and told the truth. Like, yo, man, I didn't choose to go on a sabbatical. They put me out the door. And now you're mad that you're caught in a lie. As a Christian church organization, you came together and concocted a lie because I wouldn't do something that I found disagreed with my convictions. That's what he's saying. So because I wouldn't read that card, you felt some type of way. You said I was out of line, and that you're God's voice in this organization. Okay, but why would God's voice go out and lie on me? If you standing 10 toes down on the truth that I am wrong and I am out of line, I'm out of the will of God for this season, why you turn around and lie? And then when I tell the truth and I make you to be the liar that you are, you turn around and say, wait a minute. You should have checked with us. We could have came together and came out with a joint statement together. Yeah, I did that when y'all decided to tell everybody I was on leave. You took me off the show. You didn't confer with me. Ain't no conferring happening with me before y'all went out and said stuff. So I can't say anything. So now you're putting this NDA in front of me because you're looking to silence me and raise your leverage on me, because you're putting me between a rock and a hard place. I'm either going to sign the NDA where all kind of wrong can go on, and I can't say anything to the public, or I lose my board position. And they were careful to say, well, you just wouldn't be on the board anymore. You'd still be an employee, because I got another plan to get you out of being an employee, because I'm going to hit you with the pip, fire. Put you on a performance improvement plan. And I don't care what you do, stand on your head other than capitulate to my demands. Everything you do gonna fail, and you gonna get fired because I put you on a PIP and you didn't comply.
They just really, the amount of deception, the amount of stuff that they did to this young dude, to this guy who's just trying his best. Like, literally, the more I think about this mom, the more I am just so disgusted by her. I am so disgusted by her. The level of pure manipulation that she was willing to put on her son was just so beyond imagination. And for what? It's like, here's my thing. Okay, you want to get with this guy, right? That you feeling. You obviously really feeling it. And he real close. Probably feeling you too. My thing is,
for sure.
Why didn't you just resign from the position at Daystar and give it to your son? I am sure her son would have made sure he was taken care of, just based off of the perception I'm getting from the audio and things of that sort. I'm sure he would have made sure, you know what, I'm gonna make sure mom is good. But
but in terms of money, she said that not only did he leave money or insurance and some things for the Daystar organization, but for them as well, for her as well. So I'm sure she got some M's when he passed away.
I mean, but you know how it is. It's never enough.
Oh no!
And not only do I want the money, but I also want the power. You know, there's
access to the company. There is some. You know what I mean?
There are some people who just really get a real kick out of having people being able to control people and being able to control environments and being able to control everyone around to do what they want. And if they don't feel like they can control you, that they just have no, they're not satisfied. They feel like they're the ones that need to control everything. And that's what you're really noticing with this. So it's just an overall extremely heartbreaking, just messed up thing that a mom would do that to her son. Because here's the thing, like, they're trying to say that the son does not approve of the new marriage. Newsflash. No son is going to approve. Like, take the spirituality out of it. My mom has been married to my father for 40 years. My father died, and then 3 months or what was it, a year? How long did it before they got married?
Old boy filed for divorce in 3 months after Jonathan's dad
for
passed.
You to expect your son to just look at his mom, who is you're gonna want to, you're not gonna like the new dude, period. Like, stop bringing God into this. Like, there's an emotional thing happening.
The young man, the dude's probably still grieving.
Exactly.
And he's wondering how come you're not grieving as long or in the same way. I know people grieve differently, but that's why he's looking at you side-eyed. Right.
So I grew up, my parents were separated. My mom had a few boyfriends. I'm going to keep it a buck. I didn't like any of them at all. I ain't afraid to say it. Yeah. I didn't. There was no part of me that liked it.
You probably made it known a lot more than he did.
So to expect him to, and then to tell him you need to read this comment.
It's a slap in the face because it's congratulating them on the marriage and so on and so forth. It's a slap in the face.
You to be able to,
you know how I feel, and you know I'm trying to get to where you're at, but you want me to read something publicly and then I ask to please, replace it with something else. And you're like, it's control again. It's my way or the highway. Either you read it or you're not on it
like,
at all.
dude, this, like, church people can be some of the worst human beings. They really can. Because if you can spiritualize anything and use spirituality to disregard something, a pain that somebody else is dealing with, and trying to manipulate their feeling or their relationship with God just to get them to do something against their own will is just sick and gross, man. And we have to stop that. Like, I think it's just important, especially when it comes to like parents and children. Like, parents have to stop. If you're a believing parent, stop beating your children's head over the head. Stop beating their head with these spiritual terms and these spiritual things when they're just dealing with something that is just a normal human reaction.
Can we be human, please?
I'm saying. Like, bro is probably just is grieving, and then he's confused, and then all this stuff is happening all in such a short period of time, and you're not even giving him a chance to process.
You're putting a demand on him,
and you're bringing in your goons, like your mafia buddies, to come in and really put the pressure on him. Like, that has to be, that is just tough.
And then you put the mom in a position like, oh, she's the one that is blessed with grace, that is asked us to bring you back in here and give you 24 hours to comply with our demand to sign the NDA, or else you would already been gone out of the board. And I really think you just want that position
for your own self.
Like,
you just. Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't. I'm
you a hater, bro. That's what you are. You just a hater. You just mad because you ain't the one in charge. So now you want to get all upset.
Maybe he didn't want to play the card of, hey, man, I'm still grieving my dad. And now I have to process your new marriage. And now she dropped something where she said, this is the happiest I've been in my life. What? You just took the knife and twisted it.
That's painful, bro. That's painful.
Oh my life. Ain't nobody done me like he done it. I'm the happiest I've been.
Bro, that is.
I'm like, bro. And when he asked her, he was like, hey, you weren't happy with my dad for 40 years? You weren't happy? And she's like, of course. She was like, that's the father of my kids. She didn't walk it back to say, I wasn't convinced as I was with him.
Because how do you tell your son, listen, your dad just wasn't laying it down like
Yo! And, bro. Well, on our next episode, we're going to talk about Doug and we're going to get more into it. But Bro, this NDA, it is strictly there to exercise control, dominance, and be something that coerces compliance. Like, you can't say anything about what goes on in here. And that includes the SA of your
That's what
own
I'm saying,
child.
bro. Like I would have been during these meetings, bro. Jonathan's better than me, because
Yo, and Buddy was just like, he was like, "Hey man, I'm just trying to rebuild trust. Can we
he was
can we
trying
put
his
a pause on
best.
it? Because this is just coming out the blue right now. Why is this coming out the blue right now? Well, we've all already signed it. We've all signed it
Leo,
already.
I want to spend some time on this commentary to talk about Jonathan, because I feel like it's an important case study for
Okay.
what do you do when you thought your life was set up in a certain way, when you were told you're the man that's going to be in charge, like this is the trajectory, when the pathway for your life was laid out, and it all within probably a year or two crumbles in your face, and the people you thought were going to help facilitate this trajectory all churned on you. And that was part of the reason why I was upset with what Marcus Rogers was saying, because, bro, do you realize how sticky of a situation that Jonathan was in? Like, bro, he's dealing with his mom, like the mom who,
And his employer. It's your mama. It's your employer. Like,
but like it.
that's your livelihood.
That's
That's how
a
you feed your
difficult.
family.
That is so challenging to speak. Like, this was the mother. This was the one who used to rock you to sleep when you were a baby, who gave birth to you. Like, this is your flesh and blood doing this to you. So I understand there were some things about the audio when I was like, dang, like Jonathan could have done this or that. But like, I'm gonna give Jonathan so much grace here, because I can only imagine how difficult of a situation you have to deal with. You have your mother, you have your wife, and you have your daughter. All of this around you, and you're simply just trying to process all of this the best that you can. And I can guarantee you, no one could have handled that thing perfectly. Like, no one's gonna be able to handle that situation perfectly. But let's deal with this, because I feel like it's an important case study for when everything crumbles before you, and now you have to make a decision about the future of your family, how you're going to support your family, how you're going to communicate with your mom moving forward, how you're going to communicate with family moving forward. Like, these are all things that you have to deal with, and you're trying to figure out what exactly does God want me to do, and how am I going to be able to push this forward. In your mind, how would you try to deal with that? Like, how do you strategize that when you're in this type of situation?
So, legitimately, I want to ask you guys to pray for this brother. Like, legitimately, not no, lip service. Because just putting myself in those shoes, knowing that I have this pull and unction of, hey, I have to do the right thing for my daughter, my wife. But doing the right thing means that I may be alienated from my family, my mom, and I also risk losing income, which I use to support my family. That I'm trying to protect.
And I want to say this too, because I know there's a lot of women who watch our channel. you have to understand when a man is faced with something like what Jonathan was faced with during these conversations, he has to consider the fact that was his only form of employment. This is the very thing that he's standing up to is the very thing that feeds the daughter that he's trying to protect.
Yep.
You have to know that. So that's what he's being put. This is the pressure, because if you think this is bad, imagine when he separates himself from there and they send their goons wherever he tries to get new employment.
And that's probably why they kept quiet for so long.
Absolutely. Lack of sensitivity to understand how difficult of a situation that is. Not only am I having to have very uncomfortable conversations with my mom that I'm not used to, because if you think she just became a manipulator, I'm sure she's been a manipulator his whole life.
Yeah, and like, to do this, I hear in the ether like he was trying to, raise a coup and push her out. She has the board in her hand, eating out of the palm of her hand. And she has their lawyer eating out of the palm of her hand.
Access.
Who has the power to move somebody out when all the people that hold power are in her pocket?
The Bible says
if he was doing that, he would have went one by one and tried to turn the board against her little by little by little until he had a majority to be like, hey, Mom, we've come together. We want you to step down. Which is why I'm like, no, that wasn't what his plan was, to take over for it simply isn't.
I'm sure and I honestly don't know what his plans were. Like, there's a lot of things that are still unknown. But I know as a man, he was in probably one of the most difficult situations a man can be in.
Yeah.
And you have to walk so carefully, because one false move could be shipwreck for your entire family. And
I, from the videos I've seen of the couple, of him and his wife, it seems like they're trying to pivot to like a digital space, podcast and so forth. And it would benefit him more to like really give her a stiff arm and really just go, crazy. But he still wants to leave a path of reconciliation within that relationship.
And what he also, this came to my mind, and I'm sure they're doing it, but bro, yes, get online, do your thing, but get some real therapy, bro, because you're gonna need it. You, your wife, your daughter, y'all are going to need some very, very serious therapy, like good therapy, not BetterHelp.com. Like, you need some.
Hey. They might be
I know, right? But listen,
hey, I signed up for BetterHelp.
Hey, I've had it too. Not gonna lie, I got a little help.
BetterHelp, holla at me.
I got a little help. But there is better help than better. No, I'm playing. But for real, you need some. Like, you're gonna need some therapy, bro, because that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, so that might present attachment issues, abandonment issues, and just you're not going to be as trusting because they pointed out how when they're like, hey, Pete went to forensic, whatever, and was like, there was nothing found, so we good, let's not mention this again. I'm like, it's why are you gonna relay that third party to me, right? Why don't you include me in the process, at least from afar, and say, hey, look, we're gonna bring him into this room, here's the audio feed, here's the video feed, here's what was asked here, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, bring me into because you're doing that and telling me not to go to the police, not to go to the public. And it feels like a cabal of like these people who are just trying to protect their power,
their brand. They want to protect the empire. They don't want the empire to go down. They're like, it's like you're trying to, you're like, man, we built this thing for so long. Why do we want this to just die now because something came out? And that's kind of how humans are. Like, when you've worked so hard for something, you want to do everything that you can to protect it. And I heard it in the audios. Yeah. The guys who were in there, I don't even think they were necessarily meaning any real harm. They're just like, hey, our job is to protect the organization. So we're going to do everything that we can to protect it. And that's where the issue is. Like, at the end of the day, as a man, and we talked about this too, and I'll probably go in more depth, but I feel like the father, the one who passed away, Marcus, not Marcus Rogers, but the Marcus who was the founder of Daystar.
Yeah.
When the whole thing happened with his granddaughter, he should have handled that situation better, because I believe that's what imploded and caused this entire situation to unravel the way that it did. So that way, even though he's in his grave, his entire family, his entire organization, his entire legacy is now in shambles because of those decisions. So as men, we just have to make better decisions for our family. Like, dude, no organization is more important than my children being okay. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
My grandchildren. Like, bro, that's icky. That's sickening. That's like, bro, like, I can't even put it into words how disgusting and revolting that is, to be okay with covering up something like that. It's and now that it's out in the public, you're still trying to just basically minimize everything. And she said, the wife, I think her name's Julie,
Susie.
Right? Julie said, Susie said that she sent Jonathan up to the third floor because when Pete followed their 5-year-old that was going to change into a babysitter, like, because she knew if she went up there that she wouldn't be believed. Yeah. She would not have been believed, and that it wouldn't even gotten the little bit of transparency that it got, even though, you know, it stayed hidden for years and they stayed trying to work through it for years.
It's just messed up, bro, the way when you see people in the church, when they feel like you're a threat to them, how bad they'll mischaracterize you in order to keep this narrative going that no, there was no problem, they were the problem. They'll
demonize you.
It's just an unfortunate situation, but at the end of the day, NDAs do not belong in church. There's no reason for them. Like, what do you need them for? Like, for real.
Yeah.
That is wild, bro. That you need an employee of a church, because that's what Daystar calls themselves, and they get all the tax benefits of being called a church. Then you don't need to be having nobody sign no NDA. What the heck are you trying to hide? What are you trying to hide?
That's the type of NDA that you sign before you go to a dinner party. That's what that is. Because you ain't got no trade secrets. You just, hey, look, what's going on behind these doors? I don't want them getting out. That's the type of NDA you're doing. Ain't no trade secrets. Ain't no secret recipes.
Listen, man, if you're getting hired by a church and they're having you sign an NDA, you probably need to reconsider. At the end of the day, though, I think too, and we'll wrap it up on this, but like, it's so important as a man. You cannot have your family's financial livelihood dependent on an institution. It should be dependent on whatever you do, because institutions, boy, they down with you 1 minute and they'll throw you out the next. It's a really sick and gross world. So as a man, you have to be able to support your family regardless, because you just never know. You don't. Even family can turn on you. The people who you thought had your back, they can do something. Like, it's just, at the end of the day, as men, we got to figure it out, and we got to have our own skills, our own abilities to be able to provide for our family. So if something like this happens, that you have a exit plan. And you're not going to be afraid when they're doing that, when they're asking you to sign an NDA. You're just going to be like, hey, whatever, I'm leaving. I'm out. I don't really care. And I'm not dealing with none of y'all no more. And peace.
It's tough though.
That's what I'm saying. It's not even just,
you've been on the milk.
It's not even just
your whole life.
It's not even just the money. It's your mom. Like, no, as a man, as a boy, you know, boys love their moms. You know that. And that's why I'm like, I have so much grace for him, bro, because like, I know how hard it would be to have those type of conversations with my mom. Like, take everything else out of it. You don't ever want to believe the worst about your mom. You don't. You want to always believe the best. No matter what anybody says, that's still mom. And mom is the one doing that. And that's what makes it just more painful.
And please, let that young brother grieve.
And stop expecting all of these things. Telling him, well, you need to grow up. You need to this. Like, bro, like, stop. Just stop. You don't know what he is dealing with. So just let him navigate the best way he can. And Jonathan, you're not going to be perfect, bro, but that's okay. You don't have to be. There's no way I can imagine what you're dealing with.
We pray God keeps you, man. Because I think that's a good thing that we talked about this, because I really do think he was grieving, and what she perceived as him continuing not to accept is because he had, like, I lost my dad at a young age, and I lost my mom in my adulthood, and both of those transitions took years for me to be able to talk about it and not come to tears. Just imagine somebody stepping in, right? Now, this person is now walking into the bedroom that my mom and my dad shared together for 40 years. And and I'm sitting at this wedding, supposed to be happy for them. And it's been a year. It's been less than 2 years since he went on. And all this happened. He divorced his wife, came over. They asked for guidance from somebody to be able to. We'll talk about it on another pod, but
dude,
pray for your boy Jonathan and his family, because I know.
And this is the last thing I'm going to say, and it's so painful. But like, listening to that, it was like his mom was giving him an ultimatum.
Oh, it wasn't like it was.
But it was not like, while it was around his employment and his board.
No, it was greater than that.
It's like, Mom, I thought your love for me was unconditional.
I'm the happiest I've ever been.
But no, like, I get it. You got your new man now, and y'all doing your thing, and you're having fun with my dad's money. We ain't gonna talk about that. That's my dad's money that y'all going on $100,000 honeymoon with. The money that my dad gave you. But we ain't gonna talk about that. Like, I'm dealing with something and you want to brush it off like it's nothing. and I thought you had unconditional love for me, but you're showing me that you don't, that your love for me is based on my ability to submit to your foolishness. And that's what you're telling me. That, bro, has to be some of the deepest level of pain that anybody can deal with. That just sucks.
Prayer for your boy.
We hate to leave y'all on this note, but hey, we're in deep waters now with this thing.
Hey, like, subscribe. Let's have a conversation in the comments, man. How y'all feel about this NDA? And was it just a ploy to exercise more leverage and to shut him up? This is a Diddy
Good
NDA.
God.
You know what they is. You know what they don't want to disclose. They don't want to disclose the debauchery.
Well, all right, people. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. We got a lot more content to go because this story just keeps getting crazier. But we're going to keep y'all up to date. We're going to at least give y'all our perspective, and hopefully it's helpful. And until next time, peace.